Delighted to be here. Thanks for the invite. I do 4 types of speeches. One is research findings. The other is vision overview. The third one's a call to arms. Come on. And the fourth one is a potpourri, a smorgasbord of different thoughts. What are you going to get to this afternoon? You're getting the fourth. You're getting a smorgasbord. So there you go. I better say who we are, because you think, who is this nerdy-looking Scottish git there in front of you? I'm from the Centre for Local Economic Strategies. We're an independent UK charity. We have no commercial sponsor and no government grants. But if anybody's out there who's a sugar daddy or sugar mummy, I'll speak to you later on. 25th anniversary next year. We've just acquired the assets. There's lots of assets needing to be acquired in the UK. And we've just acquired the assets of a new magazine, an online magazine called New Start. So that's £100 to subscribe to that if you wish. Our whole beef is about economic development with the social fairness within the limits of the environment. And we are a social enterprise. What we earn from our consultancy work, we plough back into our activities. So we're in this because we've got values and really into making places better and dealing with lack of opportunity and problems of social injustice. Just in terms of things we do lots of sort of stuff out in the field all the time. We call ourselves the leading UK member organisation for economic development and regeneration. And our bread and butter work is economic strategies, local food strategies, local supplier networks, buyer networks, co-op, mutuals, new institutions, well-being, happiness, livability, humanising the environment. All that's a kind of local economic stuff. What I'm going to be talking today, though, is a little bit more theoretical and picks up, I think, on some of the stuff that has been coming before me, particularly this morning. So, we've heard this, I think, from Jim in terms of the challenging times we're in, particularly climate change, peak oil, peak water, peak soil, energy insecurity. Can I try out an Australian accent? Yeah, I was here last time, and I was saying this to somebody, so bloody right, Neil, we've got peak bloody everything. It's not a good Australian accent, is it? But we have, it's nothing to laugh about, we've got peak bloody everything. And we're eating ourselves, and we need to do something about it, including adaptation and new ways of sustainable living. We've got the issue which was touched upon earlier about ageing and migration and how we need to adapt and absorb to change around the ageing issue. Economic ongoing turbulence, growing inequalities between places and within places. And we need, particularly in my own island in Europe, new economies for old places. Many places have lost their raison d'etre, and not even, and they lost their raison d'etre 35, 40 years ago, and they've still not found a new one. And the hyper-mobility of capital, the frequency of change of economic functionality means we need to be need to think about how we deal with old economies and how we deal with it quicker. We're all clever people. Why is it some places take years to turn round again? Can we not do it a bit faster? So there's something about that new economies for old places. And I think we've got a problem with democracy and losing legitimacy, particularly in terms of global economic forces colliding with local democracy. Those are big brush stuff. And I think the solutions overall are not about big state, and they're not about big community as such. Well, sorry, big state or big commerce. They're actually something the UK government's talking about. That's about big society. It's much more about self-sufficiency within places is perhaps the future. A wee interlude of some pictures. Guess what that is? Yeah, Rio de Janeiro. This is what I always put this up because I love it. I love it. It's factually incorrect, but I enjoy it. We've also got this interesting diagram here, which I've used lots of times, but this is roughly the GDP of the UK, though it's now dropping down a little bit, or has done in recent times. Life satisfaction, who thinks it's went up? in the UK? Hands up. Yes, cynics. Who thinks it's went down? About half. Who thinks it stayed the same? About a quarter. It stayed the same. And what this is intriguing is that it actually scares planners and economic developers to death. Because if you're sitting there and you're an economic development person and your whole thing is about growing the economy, this diagram tells you, well, why are you bothering? It's not making you any happier. So it's deeply disturbing when you consider that type of diagram. I should say, I missed it out, it's jet lag. At CLES, if over here is traditional economic development and over there is hippies, yeah, mung bean, alternative, green, steady state economy, well, we're married to those lot, the traditional, but we're polygamous. We love them lot. We're really to them. And we try to work between the two. And this is borrowed from our hippie friends. Right, I must push on. What do we think? Well, somebody mentioned before boredom. It was Chris. Boredom's a great emotion. And use boredom in productive ways. Anger is also a good one. And we get angry a lot. Well, I do. I'm just an angry person. But particularly at placemaking. It's always, it's lovely. It's kind of neutral. It's not neutral. It's not value-free and rational. It's fettered by the economic context. And I think Chris very eloquently placed how the economic context is very important to the framing of placemaking. We talk a lot about placemaking, about getting the economic package to make the place or to renew it. And people spend lots of time about that, and Russell talked about it. Actually, it's the easy bit. The difficult bit is that place in perpetuity once you've made the place and how you actually have an economic functionality that goes on in perpetuity in that locality. I think it's no good just making place. We also need to shield it, particularly in light of the environmental challenges we face. We can't just think about making it. We've got to think about how do we make it, but then shield it from the ravages of environmental change and economic tides of change that blow through a locality. I think placemaking is also generic. Even if design is different in sensitive place, the methods are samey. It's not bespoke, it's not organic, it's not nuanced enough. It also can be hell of a techie and takes power away from citizenry rather than giving them power. We do community involvement in placemaking, we do community engagement, we even sometimes do community empowerment, but I think we need to get right deeper into the psyche of a locality and the people within it, with higher levels of human and social capital, trying to galvanise those within place. I think human and social capital, in fact, the currency of successful places, and to kind of latch on and harness that is the key to a successful location.